you. Buenos and Hafaday, the Committee of the Whole is back from recess. We are on Bill number 246-36 COR as amended, an act to approve the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Plan and its supporting documents. We have concluded the 2 rounds of questions for our panel. We are now on the last round for amendments. And so for this round, we will have 5 minutes per member with amendments, and we will begin in the order we received the amendments to the clerks. And so the first amendment we have is from Vice Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes, and it is listed in your Google Drive as AB 246 COR L2 4P1, line 2 to 4, page 1. Vice Speaker, you are recognized.
Madam Chair, and to our colleagues here this morning and to the listening audience. Again, the amendment is to amend Section 1 of the bill to read, which is on page 1, lines 2 to 4. The following components of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Plan developed in accordance with the provisions of 21 GCA Section 79302 and attached hereto are hereby approved, and deleting the following documents are approved. Madam Chair, this amendment was in consultation with legal counsel, and I feel that based on the technical recommendation that was given to me, that this amendment be proffered. So again, at the advice of legal. So this is my only amendment.
Sidus Masi, Vice Speaker, on the amendment. Speaker Terlahi, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I support the amendment. I would like to make an amendment to the amendment. It was difficult at first, but yeah, if you look very closely at the documents they submitted, they are by law required to submit the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Plan. But what they submitted was a master plan, which is a land use plan, the design guidelines, and a map atlas. They did not submit other parts of what may be components of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Plan. So I support this. I'd like to make an amendment to that amendment. It's been passed out, and that would be the bottom portion. And to take out the words the Hagåtña Master Plan and just put the Master Plan land use, so that it's not confused with the Hagåtña Restoration and Development Plan. So I'm just changing the names of the items A, B, and C. And this also was at the recommendation of legal, just so that we don't confuse it with the Hagåtña Restoration Plan, and that these are components of that plan.
Okay. Do you have that in writing?
Yes, it's been passed out.
There has been an amendment to the amendment that has been passed out, and you can find that as AB 246 TMT L2P1. So on the amendment to the amendment, Senator Dueñas, you are recognized.
Sidus Masi, Madam Chair, and I would just like to see if I could get the author of the amendment to the amendment to kind of expand. I think I like where this is going, but I'm just going to see if I'm following this properly. So basically, by striking the Hagåtña and just putting master plan parentheses land use, and by striking the Hagåtña master plan and design guidelines and regulations, and by striking the Hagåtña master plan map atlas, then we are doing then pretty much what the phase and approach was being discussed, and making sure that the overall and a lot of the contents, particularly when it comes to how voluminous the document is, this kind of narrows it to this part of the plan. Am I close on that? If I could defer to the author of the amendment.
Do you yield to the question, Speaker?
Sure, I will yield, and I thank you for the question. And so these A, B, and C are already listed in the bill. And these are what we intend to attach to the bill when it's passed, is the documents that we have received. And if the bill is passed, then it's exactly these components that are approved. And really what I'm doing is only changing the name so that it's not confused with the big plan, the overall plan, the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Plan as in line 1 and 2. And so that the master plan is a land use plan. It's not the Hagåtña Restoration and Development Plan. That's all. I'm just trying to clarify that these are components of a bigger plan. And the plan is what we're required to adopt by statute. So these are already in the bill, this list. I'm only just changing the titles of those documents for clarification. Thank you.
So I guess my final, if I could just have the author yield once again then. So this would be now the components, but not the master plan that we would be approving. And for clarity, that's why this amendment's been proposed.
Well, together with the original amendment, the original amendment was to add the words, the following components of the big plan, and attached to or hereto are hereby approved. So.
Okay, Susan Masi for the
Thank you.
clarification. I think I'm following. Thank you.
Mr. Dismasi, Senator Dueñas, on the amendment to the amendment,
Madam
Vice Speaker, you're
Madam Chair,
recognized.
just for clarification, now that I don't support the amendment to the main amendment, can I just take a 1-minute recess so that I can confer with legal just to ask the technicality of this part? Because my thought is, can we then approve the master plan, the whole master plan in parts? So that's just for clarification's sake to make sure.
We'll take a 1-minute recess.
Thanks.
Committee of the Whole is back from recess. Vice Speaker, you are recognized.
Cesar Masi, Madam Chair, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with legal and also speak to the author of the amendment. And I support the amendment as proffered to the main amendment as proffered by Speaker Terlahi, and hope my colleagues support the efforts. We are only, out of the components of the main master plan, there are three sections that are provided to us today, which is the land use part, the design guidelines, and the map atlas. So, Cesar Masi, Madam Chair, and I do support this amendment to the amendment.
Sedilus Masi, Vice Speaker. On the amendment to the amendment, Senator Blas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I, either the author of the amendment or the author of the amendment to the amendment can answer the question in that with the approval of these amendments, what part of the over 200 pages is not going to be relevant?
Senator Blas, can you speak into the mic? We're having a hard
What
time
part
hearing you.
of the 200 pages that were submitted, okay, are no longer going to be relevant?
Will you yield to the question, Speaker?
Sure. According to the bill in front of us, the three components that are listed on my amendment, they're already in the bill. So this bill approves the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Plan, and then it makes a list of the following. It says the following documents are approved, and those are attached. So the original amendment by the Vice Speaker makes it very clear that we are not approving every asset of the plan, every aspect of the plan. We're only approving today, or by this bill, the following components. So these three components, which we have attached, the atlas, which is pretty much an index of everything in current Hagatna, the design guidelines, and the land use plan. That's what this bill would approve. I'm only changing the titles of the documents that are already attached to the bill. I am not adding any other document, and I'm not saying anything other than what the original amendment is saying, and I agree with it, that we are only going to approve these three components. There are other components, for example, the zoning ordinance, that they are going to have the ability to pass, eminent domain, the bonds, everything else that they're going to have the ability to do on their own after we adopt a plan it's not affected by this particular amendment. This particular amendment only specifies that, actually my amendment just changes the name of the documents that are attached. That's all it does. These documents are already attached, and this is what this bill is going to approve. The original amendment, again, which I support, very clearly states that the following components attached hereto are hereby approved. Only the following components. That's all of that plan. I hope that helps.
Senator Blas?
Thank you for the explanation, but then what I have before me is a two-page document, which is the bill. When we talk about the plans and what plans we're going to be approving, where is that? And it says in the attachment, are there portions of that attachment that are no longer going to be relevant or that we're not approving? I just don't want to, I see what she's getting at, and I don't want to get to a point where we're going to, if we have issue with other components that are in that document, I'm afraid, I'm concerned that by default, we're going to go ahead and approve it anyways. That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Yes, unfortunately, I agree with you. That's correct. That if we have any issues with any of the 100 pages of attachments, that this bill would be approving it regardless. That's correct. By the way, so the attachment, I want to clarify, it's a good question, but whether the attachments are actually attached to the bill. They are, it's only maybe your copy that doesn't have the attachments, but otherwise on the clerk's drive, and what we are discussing today clearly has attachments, and that should be very clear on the record. So the original amendment, the Vice Speaker very much clarifies that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. All supporting documents are attached. On the amendment to the amendment, Senator Teitigui, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to my colleagues. I do have tagging off from the last speaker regarding the placement. When we're looking at the bill, online, it shows an attachment to the bill, and it has a whole plan, this whole 100-page plan. The section where it starts off on the land use, is there any way that we can actually number these? Or, if I could ask the author of the amendment to the amendment, by numbering the section in the plan that to be approved may assist in directing the concern from the last speaker with regards to approving the whole plan that's in front of us.
Sure. Do you yield to the question, Speaker?
Yes, I would. Yes, I think it should be made very clear. The only attachments we have are these 3 documents. We don't have the other, I think, of 8 components that maybe were sent down to the legislature on different occasions, or drafts that they had built. None of those are officially before us. Only these 3 components, and those are all in the actual attachment. They seem to be labeled Attachment A, Attachment B, and Attachment C. So I see the labels on my printout of the attachment itself. So yeah, there's no other documents attached to the bill. So we are approving all of the documents attached to the bill if we pass this bill.
It was mentioned also, thank you to the author of the amendment to the amendment, but it was mentioned during the public hearing or the Committee on Rules, the Oversight Committee of the Whole, that there are 8 components, and 3 of them are listed here. However, it was mentioned that another component was actually in this amendment. It was in the index area or the prefix area, and if the intent is not to include that one, would it still be included if we approved all 3 of these components?
Yes, Speaker.
Yes, I would yield to that question. And yes, anything in the attachments, including their indexes, their table of contents, any part of the attachment is going to be approved by passing this bill.
Yes, and I just want to offer a point of information for the body that the document that we are referring to, this bill, consists of 290 pages. I know there was a mention of 100 pages, but it's actually a 290-page document that is all online for us to review.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Teitigui. On the amendment to the amendment, we have Senator Moylan. Senator San Augustine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In support of my colleague identifying that someone would identify in the plan which part is land use, which part is design and guides, and the map atlas. I just want to make sure that it's very clear to the Hagatna folks that if amendments are approved, they're going to have to come back to us and say, this is what it looks like now with all what you guys approve and endorse. So that they understand what direction they need to go. I'm not going to assume anything with anybody until they come back to us to say, so this is what you approve. Yes, that's what we approve. Because we do have several other amendments that are going to change certain parts of the bill, or of their 290 pages. And they need to be able to understand that they need to go in them themselves, not us. They need to go in them themselves and start highlighting certain pages that are good to go. And the other parts that they need to come back to us and say, would you reconsider these other parts? And then we can move on from there. If that's possible, and I hope they understand that if they're listening. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator San Augustine. And for our colleagues, if you look in the drive and you look at the bill, there are many parts to the bill. So it includes an exhibit A, B, C, it has the master plan, it has the guidelines. And so all of these things are included for your review. So we know we're all talking about the same thing here today. On the amendment to the amendment. Okay, Senator Titlery, you've spoken on the amendment.
Yes, just a point of inquiry, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, A, B, and C is there. We are only looking at document A right now. Is that the intent?
Speaker, is that correct? Do you yield to the question?
Could you repeat the question, please?
We've got attachment A, attachment B, and attachment C. Are we only looking at attachment A and approving this whole plan?
No, because all three of those attachments are attached, and all three of those attachments are what's in this list here.
Okay, thank you. That was just a point of inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Titlery. On the amendment to the amendment. Are there any objections to the amendment? Hearing none, amendment to the amendment passes. We are now on the amendment as amended. Are there any objections? Hearing none. Oh, there is an objection. All those in favor of the amendment as amended, please signify by raising your hand. Please raise your hand. The amendment as amended. Amendment fails. Okay, we are now on the next amendment. Senator Perez, you are recognized. Again, we are going in the order that the amendments were received by the clerks. Senator Perez.
Wait, Madam Chair, I have a point of information, please, or inquiry.
Please state your point of
And if I can
inquiry.
ask for a legal recess, I'd like to yield to legal counsel as this proffered amendment was based on what was in consultation with our legal counsel. So can I have a moment so that I can speak to them and ask what the impact is on this because it has not passed? I think it's really important.
We'll take a moment's recess. Committee of the Whole is back from recess. Majority Leader Nelson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we recess till 2 p.m. this afternoon. Thank you.
We are in recess until 2 p.m.